Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So for those of you that follow my channel, you see that my C806 back here, I've been having some clutch slip issues. I'm gonna show you the footage here, what that looks like. And so that's been developing as I've added mods. It's gotten a little worse as I've made more and more power. The caveat to that is I have sprayed it probably 5 or 6 times, so that probably didn't help things. So anyways, long story short, I've reached the limit of the stock clutches, and so now I have possibly a solution. We're going to find out. You guys get to be along for the ride today. We're going to install this. I've done this before in one of my other videos. I had to take it off. I don't know if I included it. I can't remember. So I've already done this once. I just had some issues with it. I had to take it off. It could have been an installer error, I don't know, or error. So anyway, so here's what we're dealing with. We have, this is the clutch pressure controller. This is the one from Peitz. From what I understand, there's 2 different ones out right now. At least 2. There's actually 3. One from Peitz, one from Sissio, and there's one in the forums that I got custom made. I'll post a link to that here soon as well. So basically what you're getting here is, this is the clutch pressure controller. And this has a plug-in here. This is where you can access it with your computer. This is to do programming. One thing different I understand about this versus the other ones is this one has programming ability. The Sissio one has like 3 default settings you can choose from. From my understanding, don't quote me on any of this. But for what I read about it before I made this purchase, it had some basically 3 default settings, like 5, 10, or 15% extra clamp load. And this right here has a fully customizable one. So this is what your harness looks like that we're gonna be installing. This piece right here is gonna go and intercept on our factory TCM harness. We're gonna take 2 pins out, put the wires into here, plug that in. Another set of these wires is going to go to our valves in the back, and that's going to provide power to this unit. And this is going to mount basically inside the fender well of the car, back fender well. So I have stuff already up in here, so I'm gonna have to kind of figure out where I'm going to put this. So this is going to go somewhere back up in here, and your lights here kind of signify the working order of the device. I think. I don't want to quote yet. I don't look back at the instructions. But anyways, that's the long story short of it. So for those of you who are wondering, what does this do? So basically, long story short, this clutch pressure controller takes your TCM signal, it intercepts it, and as it gets that signal, it sends back a signal to the car higher than the value that it receives. So basically, it tells the car to clamp harder. There's a caveat to that from what I understand. You can only go so high before the computer kind of flips out. So this is one thing that makes our cars, the C806, different from the GT500s, which shares a similar transmission as far as from the DCT standpoint. And the biggest difference is the factory TCM programming. The programming for our cars allows a lot less clutch power application, I'm assuming from our torque load of our engines, versus like the GT500 with the higher horsepower supercharged engine. It's got 750 or something horsepower, 750, 780, I can't remember. But anyways, it allows it to, because of its torque rating, put more pressure and more clamp load on the clutch packs. And so that's the big difference in ours. So this is basically taking that signal, modifying it, sending it back to the TCM to apply a higher clutch load electronically, via mechanically through hydraulics. And hopefully that should at least allow us to take more power to it before it starts to slip. Lots of people use this in conjunction with the actual Dodson clutches, which I actually have one in order. I'm just waiting to get back from Peitz. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So we're gonna go and do a deep dive. Let's install this. Let's go for the ride down the road. Let's see if this fixes our problem. So for you guys that are running into the same issue, you guys will know kind of what to do moving forward, or whether this is enough, or should you skip this and just go straight for the mechanical part, which is a lot more involved. So that's kind of the question right now. So, all right, anyway, so first things first, we're gonna get the car in the lift. You wanna get it up so you can get access to the passenger side where everything kind of runs, and then you gotta get it under the car to get the floor pans all off, to get a wire that runs to the pedal and intercepts your throttle. Because basically another thing that this does is it doesn't apply this clamp load all the time. It only does it at a desired throttle input, which is usually the wide open throttle, because you don't need the extra clamping force down low. You only need it, obviously at wide open. So we're gonna do that real quick. guys, if you have carbon ceramic brakes, you might want to look into getting some of these. Just protects the rotor from damage when you take off. This is basically what it is. It's 3 of these extenders. It just allows they basically screw on and then allow you to take off your wheels safely without running the risk of damaging them. So basically we'll put these on, and this is just an extender so that when you pull this wheel off, everything goes smooth. So interestingly, these Stillman, this is what they're supposed to be used for, but they will not pass through. So essentially you cannot use these, at least with aftermarket wheels. I'm not sure about stock ones, but interesting. Okay, next step's gonna be getting all the screws out of your inner fender liner and popping this piece off. And then once you have all these out, we're gonna pull this inner fender liner out to get us access to behind the panel here. So, all right, so inner fender looks a little different on my car than yours. Has some stuff that is for the nitrous, so you'll see a little bit of extra things here. That's what all that is, nitrous lines, fuel lines, those kind of things. So just to bear in mind, my install will not be identical to yours, but basically, we are gonna be putting the clutch pressure controller somewhere over in here, obviously out of the way of the headers there. And we are gonna be trying to get to the TCM harness, which is going to be down here somewhere. So I'm gonna have to remove that bottom plate. Unfortunately, I believe, yeah, that's gonna have to come off. So despite installing my nice little window, I don't think I can do it with just a window. So that whole plate's gotta come off again, which that sucks. Okay, so you definitely need to take off this plastic panel, which is this one. Just a bunch of 7mm and your little, mostly 7mm. And so that gives you access to, this is your harness that goes to your TCM plug. So that's gonna have to come down in order to get the TCM plug up and out. But you can kind of see here, there's the plug that you need to get to. So you need to be able to see it from there, get that plug disconnected down, and that's where we're gonna modify it. So anything that makes that easier is gonna be good. Plus, on top of that, the bottom, you gotta run wire all the way up to the front of your car, so you're gonna have to pull all these panels down. So pretty much every panel underneath the car is gonna need to come off, unfortunately. Just make it easier. It's a whole booger bear. Actually, I told you wrong earlier. So the plug is right here. It's the lower plug. That's the upper plug. That's for the one from Sissio. So this is the plug right underneath your main aluminum panel that sits right here before you could transition into the plastic one. It's right there. And so I've got my battery undone. That's the biggest first step. And so we're gonna unplug this, and this is what we're gonna actually depin. And so once we unplug this, we're gonna have to take this harness, push this down, get that out of the way so that we have room to depin this. It goes on here, lock pin pulls back, and then you're able to push in right here, and then you pop that back, and that's how you slide that off. So then you got it, you gotta get it out of your way in order to depin it, because there's just not enough room there. So I'll pull it out the back side there, and that's how I get it out of the way. This part is important. What I did, you need slack, so pop these down, slide that over, and then pull it out the back side, and that gives you room to kind of get to your pins. And so basically on here, this tab's gonna pull over to the side, that unlocks to where you can get to your pin, and you're gonna take your depinning tool and press it on the pins that I'll show you on the screen here. I don't remember off the top of my head, I'll have to look at that, but basically you're gonna take a screwdriver, slide this out, which releases the locks for the pins. And once you've done that, then you're able to depin the ones that it needs and get those out. This is gonna be very hard to show, but so you're gonna wanna do pin 3 and pin 12. And the place that you depin it is below where you see there's numbers on here. You'll see numbers that say 1. It starts off with 1 for one side, and then it goes all the way down to, I think, like 7 pins on each side or something. And so you're gonna find pin number 3 and pin number 12. And below the pin where it actually, you see the connector, right below that is an area where you can depin it, where you press the pin tool. I believe that Peitz, he told me he includes a depinning. I think I have a depinning set, but I think it's this piece here that he threw in there. I'm gonna try this, see if this works. I'm gonna film this because it's very important. So basically pin 3, which is here, and then pin 12, which is the second row, second from the end, because there's 13. That's gonna be the other one. And so I'm gonna depin those and I'll show that. comprehensive.
Do my best to capture this. So pin 3 and pin 12 are the ones you need. So this is white and brown. And then you've got a green and blue in pin 12 that you got to pull off. So we're going to start with the first one, this white and brown one. So we're going to find pin 3, 1, 2, 3, and below that, we're going to depin it. We're pressing in on this while we pull out. Okay, and so that's that simple. See, it's out. Now this is very stressful because these have little tabs that pop these out. This tool actually worked really well. It was way easier than the last time I did this. So now I just got to find the blue. So it'll be the next row of wires. Let's find pin 12. Let's see, there's 13, so there's 12. So it's going to be... Oh, I see it. It's right there. So that one's going to be a little bit harder to get to. I'm going to need to get a tool to do that. So bear with me. So then you're going to find 12, go below it, push in your depinning tool, and you're going to pull that one out. So it'll come out easily. This is very difficult to film, so I apologize. So that one's not coming out as easy. Okay, I got it. Okay, so it's out. So both of these, your two, you got your green and blue, and then you got your white and brown. Obviously your battery's disconnected. So these are the ones you're gonna be messing with, and you're gonna be repinning those areas. Just gonna expect it. I've had these out before, so it's a little stressful. I'm gonna take my depin tool out now. Shouldn't need that now. Okay, so on to the next spot. Okay, so now you're going to take white and brown and you're going to pin it into the slot number 1. And so I'm going to make sure I get this direction right. Honestly, I think it'll only push in one way, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I've got them on there. They're locked into the tabs. You can see there, you can see them nice and snug. So now this is going to tell you where to put these. So this is in 12, this is in 3. So white 12, red 3. Okay, so you can't really mess that up, okay. You're gonna add your CPC harness, which should be this little bastard here. Take this up so you're not having issues there with movement. Last thing you want to do is lose your trans signal. And then this should lock in with the right piece here, or right direction. Okay, lock. Okay, and then we're gonna wire tie all this up. Instructions have, you're basically mounting it up here, but that's, I believe, for a Stingray. So I've got a lot of stuff running to and from where I've done, so I've got to move it. So I'm mounting mine actually inside the fender well on this side, and I'm attaching it to, I'm not sure which box this actually controls. I'm not sure if this is TCM or what. ECM's over here. So I'm not sure if they run separate, but anyways, there's a module right here that I'm attaching mine to. And then plug's gonna come off and come from here. This actually goes up and over. That's gonna go into the car to where you can plug in a laptop to. And this pin's gonna be your main install point. So that's where I'm locking mine to. And then I'm gonna have to run my harness back over and follow all the way along. So I've got this harness running through. So you can see, I basically took that one, ran it across under the factory harness, followed it all the way up over, and then just tying it to the harness to get exactly to where I was at. So that's what you're gonna do to kind of see how it's attached to the harness. And so then I'm gonna run that straight off and then get it over here. And so this is gonna be your TCM signal. And then next I've gotta run to my valves on the driver's side. Gotta get connector over to there on my extenders. So I'm gonna run another piece of wire up and over then over to that valve connector. Try to keep it away from the heat. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I've got valve extenders. So I ran it up and over. I'm gonna wire tie that in a minute. So I have valve extenders on mine because of my exhaust. So yours is gonna be maybe potentially in a different location. So all it's gonna do is just piggyback off of here. That's gonna lock that in. And you're just intercepting the power that runs to this. And then you lock that down. And theoretically, that's where it's gonna get its power from. So now I've just got to take this up, tie it up, and then run my wire back up through the other way. So that's what I'm gonna do next. Okay, so now you've got your main connector. I'm gonna tie all this up. And then you've got your power supply that's coming up and over. So this is gonna plug into here. And then you're gonna run your white wire, which I'm gonna run that along my harness. The problem with this is, so when you put this on, there's no way to get this underneath the car and into the car without cutting this. I hate having a spliced wire on something that's taking a TCM signal. But the way this is done, there's no way to do it without splicing, because you can't get this into the car without cutting it. There's no good opening unless you wanted to drill a hole, which I do not want to do. So I'm gonna have to cut and splice this, run this underneath, and get this to the pedal, basically. In the meantime, I would go ahead, since this has a USB port, this is how you program it. I'm gonna go ahead and run my USB wire up, follow my existing wires, and go down and into a place that I already have in the trunk, and that way I can just hook my laptop up to the top of the car for the back, and I'll be set. But that's the way mine is. Everybody will be a little different on how you're gonna do it, you know, as far as how you wanna run the wiring, but the general process will be the same. So I'm gonna run this, tighten all this, tie all this up. I'll give you a brief overview of how I get the white wire in the car. Okay, some constructive criticism on these kits. This is how far my wire gets, all the way to almost in the car. It's gonna be just barely in to splice. And so it's, depending on the distance to my pedal, which is right there, I may end up having to extend this wire. But constructive criticism, I'd give an extra foot or so when they spool this out, because this is not long enough. I don't want 2 break points in this signal, just because that's asking for bad news. So anyways, that's kind of where we're at. So this is where you go in. This is a piece of tape. You can go in here, or you can actually go in up here to the car, which actually, that might be a shorter route to going up there, but I'm gonna just continue where I've been going and go through there. So anyway. Okay, so at this point I've got it wired up. I'm gonna leave the inner fender off, put the wheel on, lower the car, get inside, splice that wire, hook it up to the pedal. We should be good. But in case there's any issues, I'm gonna leave lower panels off for now, and then kind of go from there and hook up the laptop. See, make sure everything works before I start reassembling all the pieces. So, all right, so we'll lower down, put the wheel on. That'll be the next thing you see. And then I'll go into the car and show you what we have to do. Okay, so now the next part, you've got your wire that's come through the bottom side. You're gonna have to splice that on. And then you're gonna run and intercept the cable in the back of the pedal. It's 10 millimeter. You're gonna pull that loose, get to the back of there. I've got a clutch or a throttle controller from Solar that I'll be using. And then for the actual connections, I like these. They're heat sinked. And then I'm gonna do some wrap over it so it'll be nice and wrapped. And so it'll be hopefully sealed as best I can from moisture. So anyways, that's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have to get off camera for this, but basically pull pedal off, 10 millimeter, pull it back, get to the plug behind it, splice this in, and then this is just a piggyback that runs off the stock cable. Now I'm hoping this works okay with my throttle control, because I really like it, but we'll see. That's 2 things in line. Theoretically, it shouldn't matter because it's just sending a signal just like this is. So we'll see. I'll try using it with it. I may not be able to, then unplug it. I did ask Peitz, he wasn't sure. Okay, so at this point, here you download the software. It's a zip file, and then you're gonna run the main app, which you gotta pull up here. So you wanna test it first, and we wanna make sure that once it's plugged into your laptop, and I've got it running down through where I've got all my nitrous stuff running into the back rear trunk, just make it easier on me, so I'm gonna do it from the back. You wanna look, see if you've got a red light going. So we have a red light, so we know it's operational. So that's the next step. And then I've gotta play a little bit with the software
And basically what I'm gonna do next, and I'm probably gonna show that off camera, is I'm gonna load the default software, and then it'll show a log. And I think then I can get in and turn the car on and see what we're getting a readout here on the computer. So just hang on one second. And then here, now once you've got the file loaded, you got the config loaded, you want to set your on limit, which just tells it when to come on. They said for stock clutches, you want it to be 250, so we're gonna set that there. 250, and then I'm gonna click send. And then C10 means 10%, which is where you wanna set that to. And okay, and so now I gotta figure out, I think I can start the car and then start a log of this, if I'm not mistaken. So, all right guys, so she's back together. So I've been talking with Peitz. I wanna show you a couple things on this program. So up here, you got your graphs. Now these things change as you are driving the car is off, so that's why the lines are similar. So you're gonna have your throttle positioning sensor input, which can tell the voltage. You wanna make sure you get to 100%. What's really cool about his setup is you've got an even and odd clutch limit. So you can do your odd or even clutches. And the reason that's important is your big clutches are gonna need different pressure than your smaller ones, since they're all in the same setup. So the clamping forces will be different. So this allows you to kind of customize that. This C10 that you see there, that's the number of clamping force that you're gonna add additionally, where it intercepts the signal and then sends back and tricks the TCM and applying more clutch pressure. So basically you keep going up on these numbers at the sensitivity to get it to where you want it. And you wait to see till you get to the point where you throw a code, and then you start backing off, and that's when the TCM sees too much. So you can kind of play with this, and I'm going to show you real quick. So just one of the little readouts. So even with the car not on, if you press the gas pedal, come over here, you see, reads all your sensors. So that'll be constantly going. I will say one thing I do recommend is if you're gonna do this, run the wire to the inside the car underneath. I ran it to the back. It was kind of hindsight. I didn't realize how much I was gonna be using the laptop. It's difficult to do that while you're driving. So you can run an extender and run it into the car, but I'd recommend running that cord, not like I did, but running it into the car. So far I'm happy. So I'm gonna post this video of me doing a pass, and that'll be the end of this video. It's windy here, as you can tell. So it has fixed my problem for now. I did have some issues initially where it didn't want to go into gear, third to fourth, and I had to play with it with the software. And now I've got it to where it shifts like it did stock. It's very smooth, even with the extra power that I have. So far I've been happy with it. I'm still playing with it, still learning it. And with this shitty DA and this 30-mile-an-hour wind, I was still pulling a 7.1, 60 to 130. So it's definitely working like it should. And the DA right now is like 1300 or something. It's really crappy. It's moist and it's hot. I'm about to sweat right now, actually. So anyways, that's kind of where we're at. So like and subscribe. I've got a bunch of things coming up next. I will not go into those right now, but probably gonna be doing spoiler. That's gonna be the next thing that I'll be doing. My bumper is now in, so we're gonna be doing a nice little 01 style spoiler swap onto the car. So, all right, like, subscribe. Thanks, guys. Catch you flip side.